Hello, I'm Bobert Ross, and welcome to Painting Demons. Oh my God, I just got green on the paint. We weren't supposed to do that yet. Well, look at that. This is teaching techniques, people. Well, when you're filming YouTube videos and being a retard, you accidentally get a little green permanent hue on your canvas there. Well, what you're going to want to do is take a Q-tip. Well, that's assuming we're working with acrylic paint now, right? So, you're going to want to take that Q-tip. You're going to want to do a little dip in some clean water. And you're going to want to rub that on there real nice and good. I like to do a little spin technique, that way you make sure you pick up all the pigment, just like a little vacuum cleaner, As you roll the Q-tip there, you're going to expose nice clean fibers as it rolls. You know what I mean? And then you got to switch Q-tips as well. As the Q-tip loads up pretty quick. You're going to need a new Q-tip, all right? So, I like to keep a lot of Q-tips handy right here. See the Q-tips? Yep. Oh, Bobert Ross makes a lot of mistakes, so he needs a lot of Q-tips. Get it? All right, so what are we doing? We're painting some green eyes on this little demon here who we decided is a jaded, ice-cold-hearted bastard with no sense of humor, right? Because he's the trickster. Well, this is the older, jaded bastard version that, well, I just don't want to be, do you? So, what we're doing here, as explained in the last video, is we're going to add some Hooker's green permanent hue to these little crystal eyeballs you see here to represent Jade, as he is jaded in his little frozen heart. Got it? All right, so what we're going to do, you are going to learn something here today. Maybe you already know all this stuff. Old Bobert doesn't really know anything. Old Bobert just kind of makes this up as he goes along, you know what I mean? So, what you're going to want to do is get a little water on there because that makes the paint come out, just a little bit smoother. You want to thin that paint down. And you're going to want to, well, since we're working with already dried paint and we're working within a very confined space, as you can see, these little triangles, right. So, what we're doing is we're using the angled brush. We're using the angled brush because it's one of my favorites for minor control in these types of things. I find I get a nice clean edge because, well, it's just the brush I like using, Some people might say, hey, why aren't you using a round brush for this? That's what I would use. Well, you know what? I'm not you, and I'm not very good at this. So I'm going to use this angled brush, and I'm going to do a little doobly-doo over here on the canvas, and we're gonna start, and Old Bobert can get to yapping, as you can see. So we're going to stop yapping and start putting some paint on the old canvas over here, and let's see what happens, shall we? All right. I'm going to go ahead and narrate this, even though I know about 99% of all you are just going to either fast forward to this or, well, by God, you already changed the channel, didn't you? Because this Ole Bobert is a sort of a, well, he's an acquired taste. You know what I mean? So you either get it or you don't with Old Bobert, you know what I mean? So you guys probably are either laughing your old fucking nuts off right about now, or you're not even there. All right, so let's keep adding this green. Let's try to be careful. Let's try to actually do a decent job as well as filming a YouTube video, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be great. Most of Old Bobert's work anyway is symbolic and graphical in nature, as I'm sure you've heard me repeat ad nauseum. Because, you know, it's good to know one's limitations. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to get a little water on the bristles so we can take a little bit of that paint off. Well, Bobert's going to have to go over here and grab a couple paper towels because you know what? Sometimes Bobert gets to doing things and he gets ahead of himself. You know what I mean? And then sometimes old Bobert has to go there and get some paper towels because he didn't think ahead because, well, you know what? That's just old Bobert's nature, isn't it? But, you know, that's okay. So we're going to continue to thin this paint out a little bit because you know what, by God, I am starting to learn just a little bit. Old Bobert is capable of learning, you know, slowly. But what I am learning is that the colors underneath matter quite a great deal. And I will admit, on camera, I applied too much paint to the canvas. I knew I did not want to do that. But old Bobert did it anyway, because you know what? Nobody's perfect, and old Bobert sure as hell is not perfect. All right? So, sometimes accidents are not as happy as other accidents. You know what I mean? Sometimes accidents actually teach us what looks good and what looks bad. So some accidents you're like, hey, old Bobber kind of likes the look of that curve that he made accidentally. It's a little wonky, but you know what? Wonky's kind of cool. So just go with it. Who wants a perfectly symmetrical line anyway? Anybody can do that. Any old AI computer can draw a perfectly symmetrical line. So, old Bobert put too much goddamn paint on here, and he's gonna have to fix it. So, I also put a little too much water. That was the whole thing. So the key with the water is, there is such thing as too much water. There is also such thing as too little water. So, that's what you will learn the more you play with these things. You'll get a feel for the paint, you'll get a feel for the bristles and how they interact with the water, how much water is in it right now based on how much is coming out on this little canvas palette that I'm using. I think that's okay. We're gonna start here. I guess it's probably better to start thinner. But then I just tend to lose control of it sometimes. You know, I like the look of that right there, and I'm just gonna go with that. So we're gonna see if there's enough paint loaded still in these bristles to give the other little facet here a tap tap. I'm finding that I'm just having to really tap this because the strokes, you know, it's sort of contained in the white paint in a way. So we're gonna move over here. Again, I do not expect anybody to be listening to this narration. Old Bobert knows that YouTube is a certain way. So, what old Bobert's gonna do for a couple minutes is he's going to just paint and shut the hell up. You got it? And then we're gonna do a little time lapse. And I'll see you on the other side. Hey. Do I need to go trim old Bobert's nose hairs? Does that look okay to you guys or what? Nah, it's okay. I think it's okay for another couple days. All right, we'll see you later. All right, well, I mean, I'm not seeing you later. I'm right here. Oh, you know what I realized? The music. Old Bobert's copyright-free Psytrance music has quit out on him. Why, computer? You think that while I'm playing music that you should go to sleep? That's an odd That's an odd and, thing to think that you would want to do. Who would want their computer to go to sleep while they have a playlist like literally playing? Sometimes old Bobert doesn't understand what Windows 11 behaves the way it does, because old Bobert's kind of old, and he remembers Windows 2000, and that worked just fine. Hell, Bobert even remembers Windows 95, you believe that? And you know what? That one was a little wonky, but it got better. 2000 was about the best. You know what? No, it was, what was the best one? XP? Windows XP? Yeah, that's for all you old heads know what the hell I'm talking about. Everybody else is like, what in the hell is old Bobert talking about? I didn't even know he could use a computer. Old Bobert with the old shaky hands, who drank too much freaking caffeine today, who's on a freaking bender of literal caffeine and cannot stop talking? That Bobert? Yeah, that Bobert. Yeah, he knows how to use a computer. He does. He's been doing it since 1992. Since he was just a lad, messing with people on AOL. Any of you old heads remember AO Ice or AO Hell? And going in the chat rooms and just berating the boomers with nonsense and gifs of weed leaves and boobs. Well, they weren't gifs actually. They were what do you call those? ASCII pictures of freaking characters. Nobody even knows what the hell old Bobert is talking about. He's like, is this guy just making up letters and shit? Because that's what it fucking sounds like to be. Well, that completely looks like shit. You guys ever paint on camera? You see that video where I was flipping the knife the other day? Old Bobert was flipping that butterfly knife. God damn it, that was hard on camera. And you know what? So is this. And I'm just realizing it's because I had my head cocked to the side for like literally no apparent reason. I don't know why I was doing that. So we're just gonna go ahead and shamelessly use some more Q-tips because why not? Oh yeah, that's another one of old Bobert's rules, is there's no such thing as cheating in art. As long as you get a good result, that's all old Bobert cares about. I don't care about your technique so much as if you get a good result. You will learn better ways to achieve that result in the future, if you like the result. But old Bobert likes to experiment and figure shit out, so you gotta ruin a few canvases to do that, you know what I'm saying? Like the one I'm using as a palette right here. This is me just ruining shit. You know what I mean? Whatever. Don't be afraid to waste money on a dream. That's what old Bobert says. It says, Bobert says? It says, money's stupid, and you're thinking about it all the time, so why don't you just fucking use it on shit that makes you happy, you know what I mean? So, that's what old Bobert says. I just hope old Bobert, not old Bobert, I hope you guys out there find something that makes you guys happy that you spend your money on. Don't be afraid. But it's gotta be worthwhile. Don't waste it on video games and crap. Learn how to pirate that shit. That shit you can get for free. Movies, games, software, various movie production software, if you know what old Bobert's saying. Can be had for, I don't know, very little if you know where to look. If you want to know tips like that, like how to get cool shit on the internet, like where to find it, where to go to find fun stuff that enriches your life, makes you a better person and more effective in the world, you might want want to check out old Bobert's X account. That's at CMC Psychonaut. Just like the YouTube. You know what I mean? Old Bobert got lucky and those were the same, so you guys can find it a little easier, you know what I'm saying? And old Bobert is realizing, yeah, painting and caffeine do not mix, do they? So we're just gonna try to wrap this up and see if our little shaky hand will go away, because we're just gonna be filming videos. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You guys get it. Oh, you know what old Bobert kind of likes, actually? Look at that. Look at that. Okay, you know what? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, guys. You see that eyeball right there, where I kind of like didn't fill in the blue edges just a little bit because I'm being a little bit lazy? Well, guess what? Old Bobert actually looks a little bit better. Don't you? You can kind of see the green a little bit more now. The outline just a little bit, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I think that's cool. I'm gonna leave it like that because it's like different than the other one. All right, folks. So that's gonna do it for old Bobert Ross.